Alright, he's Mega here, and so it's the next day, and I'm getting ready to go clean up this bike because it's got really dirty after the Hare Scramble race. So I'm gonna go check everything over, but I had a pretty bad crash towards the end of the lap 3. And I don't know how this happened, but I ripped my rear brake lever, brake line off. Okay, it just ripped right off of there. I must have caught, maybe I ripped it out with my hand. I'm not sure, man. Yeah, I'm not sure. I've never had that happen before. As you can see, I was number 753. I was like the last person to register. All right, the very last. So next time you got to get there earlier. Hey, this Mega. To improves, you got to get there earlier. Okay, the front brake still works, but look at how far it goes in there. All right, and I know I changed the brake pads on this. Yeah, I could take a quick look at the pads, but yeah, the pads are still good. So I think I need to bleed this, man. It just goes in all the way. The rear brake, however, did work pretty good, and I had bled that one. So we're definitely gonna have to fix this. All right, it's not that hard. I could just cut the line and then put it back in there. I've done it before. I mean, well, I haven't done it before, but I was the one that installed this brake, and that's kind of how these brakes work. You can cut the line to the size that you want, and then there's a fitting that just, you know, there's like a compression fitting for it. So in a way like that, it's kind of easier to repair, is what I want to say. The suspension, the forks look like they're kind of twisted or something. I'm gonna have to look over the forks a little bit. There's some grease coming out of the forks. All right, yeah, it's kind of wet, so I'm gonna make sure that the forks aren't dented or anywhere. So I'm gonna say, but they look okay. But there's like, yeah, there's grease and fluid coming out of it. That's kind of normal when you ride it really hard. That kind of happens. See, there's grease right here. So I'll just wipe it all down, clean it all up. I think it should be fine. Is this a scratch here? No. Okay, and then yeah, the headlight kind of got messed up a bit. So this bolt bent. I think the whole headlight shifted this way, so I'm gonna have to replace this bolt and realign the headlight. So I think that's the major damage right there. And then I have to kind of straighten out the forks. I did also notice that this fork is a little higher than this one, so this must have moved a little bit. So I'm gonna have to loosen everything and put it back in there. Okay. For the most part, the bike ran pretty good. So the rear tire, the Shinko Cheater, oh, it looks pretty beat up, man. Yeah, I mean the knobs are still pretty big, but yeah, man, that course was it was pretty rocky. It tore up the tires pretty bad. There were some kind of rocky sections. Okay. It looks like I have to tighten the primary drive chain. All right, yeah, looks like it needs to be tightened. That's probably why it's making a lot of noise now. Alright, but it was kind of a long race, only 4 miles, so yeah, and then other than that, I think the bike did okay. We'll check all these bolts and stuff here. Sometimes I find these get kind of loose. I remember it kind of bottomed out a couple times. Yeah, but I think we did okay. So if it wasn't for that crash at the end, man, it would have been a good day, man. That's kind of blew my celebration at the end. So let's say, yeah, I'm not really sure what happened, what hit. I didn't get a chance to look at the video yet. So, well, we got to fix this, and then we got to straighten the forks out, and then we got to push this back down. Probably have to take the wheel off, push it back down to the right level it's at. Yeah. And then it'll be good to go. And then I have to wash it. I'll probably wash it first. Okay, we'll clean up the stanchions, all the mess that came out of there. Yeah, it looks like the forks are leaking, but they're not. So, all right, he's Mega here. So after the Hollister Hills Hare Scramble, I somehow ripped my rear brake line out when I crashed into like a gate pole or something. I haven't watched the video yet, but yeah, I had a pretty nasty crash at the end of the race, and I know right before the finish line, horrible, and I ripped the rear brake line out. So this is just a vlog on me fixing it. I'm gonna just take a couple pictures along the way and let you know how it went. Basically, what I'm planning to do is snip this, probably snip it back here to where it's still black. All right. Basically, what happened is the whole thing just ripped out of there, like, okay. I'm gonna take this out, and I'm gonna add it. I'm just gonna shorten the brake line is what I'm gonna do basically, and then fill it up with fluid again. I have my little toolkit here for my Magura brakes. All right, and I've got extra collets and fittings to make new brake lines. Where's the brake? I think I still have some brake line left over too. All right, and I have a bleeding kit here, and I have this Royal Magura blood. So hopefully I got enough to fill it up. Looks like it. So, all right. But anyway, yeah, well, I'll let you know how. I'll just take pictures along the way. Basically, my plan is to snip this. All right, cut it shorter. It's not a big problem because like I left a lot of extra line left over, type of thing. There's still extra line back here too. So, actually that's pretty close to. It should be more like that now. Yeah, so I'm gonna cut this short, take this fitting out, and then put a new fitting in there. All right, and then yeah, basically you just put one of these. See one of those guys? It's like a little like a barb fitting. All right, and then you just put the collet in there. Actually, I might be able to use the collet that's in there. There should be one in there. Okay. Anyway, I'll let you guys know how it goes. This is just a little repair vlog. Hopefully I can fix it pretty easily. Oh yeah, I don't have the little rubber. I don't have the little rubber thingy. What happened? I think I messed it up. I messed it up, but that's fine. Whatever. We don't need it. Okay. So. All right, here's Mega here. So I'm here trying to refill my my rear brake because I busted the line off and I reinstalled it. And I was having a hell of a hard time bleeding it. All right, so one thing, I forgot to put the transport devices in, and somehow I pushed the pistons out, the pistons pushed out, and then the fluid started leaking past the piston seals. So I put those in, but I don't think that's supposed to do that, so for whatever reason, when I squeeze this, all right, it comes up fine over there. See how it's rising? Okay, but when you're supposed to suck it in, you're supposed to pull and push bleed it, right? And so this wasn't coming out. It was coming up, but it wasn't sucking any fluid through. It could blow the fluid fine out the other way, but it couldn't suck it out this way. And I had just done the front, and it worked fine. So I come to do this one, and like it's doing that. I can push the fluid through the system, but I can't suck it down from the reservoir. So I'm just scratching my head. I was like, what the hell's wrong with this? This isn't how the front was. The front was like, it was no problem. I could like push the fluid through and suck it through, no problem. It doesn't take a lot of pressure. So what was happening, I read on a forum, is that this guy, all right, the problem was this. So the problem is the plunger was pushed like all the way in. Like I had it adjusted pretty far in there, and then and I guess I had it so far that it's actually pressing on the plunger, and I guess the valve in the master cylinder wasn't like open all the way. It wasn't completely out. So what I did is I backed the screw out until I couldn't see the thread almost. Okay, and then it started working. All right. So if you're having that trouble where I have a Magura MT5 brakes. All right. If you have a Magura MT5 and you're trying to bleed it or refill it, and you can push the fluid through, but you can't suck it through, that could be the problem. All right. That plunger could be putting pressure on the master cylinder, on the lever, and it's not allowing it to suck the fluid through. All right, so hopefully I'll have no problems, but yeah, I've made a huge mess, man. I don't want to do this anymore, man. All right, anyway, yeah, so there's a tip. If you're bleeding your Magura brakes, what you might want to do is loosen the plunger first. All right, and then readjust it later, all right, when you got it. Hopefully you'll have more lever feel. That's the reason I'm doing, well, no, the reason I'm doing this is because I broke the line off, and I had to reinstall it. I cut a piece of it off, and I just installed a new one. So okay, anyway, yeah, so that was the problem. I thought like, oh, maybe I have to buy a new brake or something. Now that I found out that the plunger was too far in, and I needed to pull it out some, so this valve wouldn't be like stuck, is what was going on. All right, so okay, that's just a little Magura brake bleeding tip. Oh my god, guys. All right, so like about like 2 hours later, I've got brakes again. All right, so I squeeze this lever and I get pressure, right? There we go. All right, so like I said, I cut the line and I installed a new collet, and with that fitting, the barb fitting in there. All right, and then yeah, it was all good. So I mean, that was good. Then I put it in there. I dropped the lever accidentally, and I thought I lost the collet, but it was still in there, so I just stuck it in there. But it works. So okay, this is what happened, guys. This is my story. So I'm all getting ready to bleed this one. All right, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I got the line in there. We're ready to go. And then I find out that I bled the wrong one. Okay, yeah, so I started getting this one ready to be bled. All right, and then I forgot. I was like, wait a minute, when I was like halfway through it, I got the syringes all hooked up and everything. You'll see in the pictures. All right, guys, I realized that's the front brake. We're supposed to be working on the rear brake. so I was like, oh, okay, you know what? I had trouble. I was gonna bleed this brake anyway, okay, guys? We're gonna bleed this one anyway. So I said, like, all right, why don't we just bleed this one first? All right. So I went and bled this one. And then I took we had to take the caliper off and all that stuff. No, yeah, I'd already taken the caliper off and everything. I was like, wait a minute, that's the front brake, not the rear brake. But I already have everything all hooked up and ready to go. I was like, all right, let's just bleed it. I was gonna bleed it anyways because I was having trouble during the race with this. The lever, remember, the lever was going all the way back to here. All right, it's not doing it anymore. All right, but there's still some kind of space there. Hopefully, when it heats up, it'll expand and it'll get stiffer. But I remember during the race, it would go in and go out. There was air in there. All right, guys. When I bled it, I did manage to see some air in there. All right. So I guess it just happens after a while, man. And then so what's the next problem? Yeah, okay, so we did that one, then we did this, all right? And yeah, you have to make sure this is all nice and level, and then I'm getting ready to do everything, and then I've got everything all hooked up. I've got everything hooked up and ready to go, and then these transport thingies, they don't want to stay in. So I said, okay, fine, let them take it. So there's a reason why they tell you to put those in, guys, because the pistons will work their way out and they just puke fluid all over the place, which is what happened to me. I was squeezing, and then I was like, where? And I see fluid squirting out the bottom of the piston, the caliper. I'm like, where's it coming from? Like, and I'm looking, and then I look at the pistons, and they're touching each other. I was like, oh shit! It's a good thing the pistons didn't just come right out. Then I'd be totally screwed. All right. So yeah, when you're bleeding your brakes, put the transport thingies back in. All right, guys. You could do it with the calipers on the bike, but you risk contaminating the brake pad. So just do it like they tell you to do it. Take the freaking caliper off, put those transport thingies in there. You're gonna have to push the pistons back a little bit, stick those in there. All right, there's a reason why they tell you to put those in there, so that doesn't happen to you. Okay, so lessons learned. This is only my second time bleeding the brakes on this bike, guys. The first time kind of went more smoothly, is what I'm gonna say. And then yeah, what happened next? Oh, okay. So I'm pushing the fluid through here, all right? And I'm thinking, oh, maybe the brakes are broken or something. Yeah. So the fluid is supposed to come up the reservoir right here. You'll see it, all right? And then there's a little hole on the top to keep you know, the pressure from building up. And then it's a pretty kind of ingenious way of bleeding brakes, is what I'm gonna say. It's like the surefire way to bleed brakes, is what I say. The back is what you're basically doing, is back bleeding the brake. Anyway, so the problem is when I go to suck it, all right, because they tell you to push the fluid through and then suck the fluid out, all right? Push it in, suck it out, and then, you know, eventually all the bubbles will come out, and then you're supposed to grab the lever and then squeeze the lever and let it go like that, like kind of pluck it, and then just keep on pushing it and then sucking it. Well, when I go to suck it, I'm having a hard time. I was like, what the hell's going on? I'm just sucking air out of it, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on. And then and I'm just kind of like, what's going on? There's something wrong. I can push the fluid through, but I can't suck it up. That's really weird. So I look up on like a mountain bike forum, just some guy's having a similar problem, and then what he did to solve it is the plunger, all right, the plunger, all right. So that's what I had to do. I had the plunger all the way in, all right. I like my brakes like really, you know, feather touch, right? Well, I had the plunger so far in that it was pushing on the valve, all right. So or maybe because there was no fluid in there, maybe, you know, it was like that. So what I had to do is open this up all the way, so until there's threads here, until there's no more threads on the lever, all right. I unscrewed it, all right, and then I adjusted it after, okay. But yeah, man, what a mess it was. There's brake fluid everywhere. It's a good thing this uses mineral oil and not like automotive brake fluid, because that stuff eats through stuff. But yeah, I got a huge mess to clean, right? The front, I think what happened, some fluid, yeah, I pushed too much fluid through, and I got some air in the system, so I had to redo it, and then somehow some of the fluid spilled out. I forgot how it happened, but I was like, oh shit, it got all over the brake pads. So I contaminated the brake pads, and I cleaned it with alcohol. Hopefully that did the trick. And then, yeah, hopefully I didn't get any. Man, I did get some on the rotor. Yeah, well, I'll spray the rotor with some alcohol, but I think it'll be okay. It's just oil, you know, but yeah, you don't want that. You don't want any kind of oil on your brake rotors, guys. I have to say the rear brakes did a spectacular job in the last race. The front brakes, not so much. All right, I almost didn't have a front brake, but the good thing is, you know, get in a lot of trouble if you use too much front brake. So I a couple times I washed out the front because I used the front brake. But you just got to remember, you can only use the brakes when your bike is upright. Okay, that's the best time to use it, when it's upright. All right. Anyway, I got a huge mess to clean. All right, and I think I'm kind of done for tonight. I'm gonna see if I can straighten the headlight and take a look at the fork real quick, but I think I kind of don't want to work on the bike anymore, man. I've had it. But yeah. So anyway, I'm just gonna clean up. I was able to fix the brakes. Next, I'll check out the fork, and then that should pretty much be it. Yeah. And then the bike will be ready for Virginia City Grand Prix. So. I think we're definitely going to do the brakes for Virginia City Grand Prix. There's some steep ass sections there, and the last time I raced it, I had the BAC controller, and I had the regen throttle. You know, we're not going to have a regen throttle this time, and yeah, it's going to suck, man. I don't know what to say, but yeah, there it is. It lives to fight another day, is what I'll say. It's totally. I'm not going to lie. It is totally my fault that I busted the brake lever thing. The brake line, all right? It's a good thing we didn't break the brake lever. That's what I want to say. Yeah, so. Okay, well. Okay, I'll let you know how the rest goes. So next we're going to work on the fork. I'm just going to clean the stanchions and then try to fix the headlight and the alignment and everything, I think. For whatever reason, the left fork moved up in the triple tree a little bit. I don't know if it was because of that crash. I don't think it was. I think it's because the Hollister Hills just pounded the shit out of my bike, man. It happens, I guess. I've had it happen on this bike before. I've seen the forks kind of creeping up on triple trees, so it happens. All right, so yeah, I got a big mess to clean. All right, here's Mig out. Yeah, by the way, I tried to save this. I think this is what came out of there. All right, I put it in the vise, and I used a wrench. I stuck a wrench in there that fits underneath this, and then I use a pry bar to pry it out, and it popped out. Okay, so unfortunately I can't use that anymore. Look at it, it's crushed. So I could probably still use the collet if I can get the collet off of there. Yeah, it's kind of stuck on there. Yeah, so we're not going to use that anymore. Okay, so this is all that was left of the broken part of the brake line. All right, we'll just add that to the collection. I still got another set right there. I think they give you an extra one when you're when you buy the brake kit. So they're kind of handy to have if something like that happens. That's why it's good to have a little bit extra brake line than you need. Okay, guys. So just in case something like that happens, you know, you can fix it. I didn't have to. I could reuse the line. You know, it's a good thing. So only thing I'm missing is the cover. I don't have this cover for it, so I have no idea how it broke. But anyway, it's a little bit shorter now, but I think it's fine. Yeah, no problem. Okay, it's actually too long. I think in the back it's too long. There's still some playing, so that's good. And the lines will bend a little bit. So, alrighty. So yeah, I'm gonna clean up